Hello, I'm Ted and welcome back to another Mighty Fine presentation training video. This one will be the first of 10 training videos focusing on getting your message across. We will be looking at the 10 great ways to help your audience forget. Yes, that's right, forget your presentation. So let's look at the top ways to forget your presentation. The first one, don't connect with your audience. And second one, read from the screen. That's always a winner. And of course, speak in a flat voice. Don't use techniques such as pacing and tripling, emphasis and chucking. Throw that stuff right out the window. And of course, you got some more. The runners up. Let's round off the top 10. Let's look at those. Overload those slides. Too much information. That's wonderful, isn't it? Throw out structure. Self-introduction, topic introduction, overview, message, objective, body, summary, conclusion, Q&A. Throw it out. Have a weak start and conclusion. Don't use verbal cues. Have poor body language and staging. Don't care who's in your audience, and above all, forget about practice. Just wing it. But if you don't follow these 10 points, you will have very effective, very persuasive, and very memorable presentations. So let's look at some ways to remember your presentations. First of all, let's connect with your audience. Alright, let's look at some ways to connect with your audience. First of all, language is very important. Why use I, me, or you? Why not try we, us, and our? Use power words such as together and team. Make it personal. Don't use the new product, use our new product. Much more personal. Your beard doesn't convince the kids? No, let's try. Our beard doesn't convince the kids. We're all in it together. Ask them some questions. Get them thinking. Want some examples? That's a great way to learn. Alright, let's look at some seasonal Santas versus sales. So as you can see here, the seasonal Santas are gradually increasing over the years, but our sales, Whitebeard sales, remain constant. What are we going to do about it? First, our sales team will work more closely with our customers. Get them involved, ask questions. So, where is our market share going? And then you give them some answer right after you ask the question. You don't expect a response from the audience. So, how can we meet or beat last year's market share? So, why is our market share fallen? So just these tips will help, but use them with the other 9 and you will have very dynamic and memorable presentations. So be sure to visit us again at www.mightyfinepresentations.com for more presentation tips. Thank you again for joining us, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye. So welcome back to another Mighty Fine presentation production. This one we'll be looking at structuring your presentation. Let's move that one up the list a little bit. It is vitally important that you have some structure to your presentation. Now keep in mind, you can develop your own structure to suit your presenting style. What this will be is a formal template that all presentations are based on. What you can do with it after you are very comfortable with the 8 steps is to modify it to your own style and type of presentation. Now there is a way to see some other presentations through TED.com. There are some wonderful examples of every style in the book. So if you haven't already done so, I highly recommend that you check out some of these wonderful presentations on TED.com to get some idea of different styles. So as mentioned, there are 8 stages to a presentation, so let's look at those. So what I will do here is I will give you some examples of the stages, and you tell me what the stages are by its proper title, by its proper name. Let's see, for example, the first one. So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for coming today. My name is Ted, and I'm the presentations coach for Mighty Fine Presentations. That's right. This would be the self-introduction. Be sure to include your title so the audience knows that you are an authority on the topic. Alright, so let's move on to the second point. Here's the example. Today, I would like to talk to you about Santa Claus beard sales and how we can make this year even better than our last. Right again, that is the topic introduction. And thirdly, my talk will be in 3 parts. First, I will show you our current market growth, then I will explain our position in the market, and finally I will offer some ideas on how to better our position in the market. Well, you're close. The summary comes at the end of the presentation, but you have the right idea. This one is called the overview. So just remember that a presentation is kind of like a sandwich, 2 pieces of bread with some meat in the middle. This one is you tell the audience what you're going to say in the overview, you say it, and then you tell them what you said. Alright, let's look at the 4th, and here's the example. By the end of my presentation, you will know what the Santa beard market is, how the growth is, and how we are doing in the market, and what we can do to make this Christmas one of our best. Technically, this one is called the message objective. This step is often overlooked, and why do we need it? Well, it's to give the audience a clear reason why they are there, what they will know by the end of the presentation. Alright, let's move on to the body. Oops, I give it away. Well, let's look at the body. Let me give you a brief example, and pay attention to some of the language that I use here. We'll be focusing on that a little bit later in the next presentation. So let me begin with my first point, the current market growth. Who here believes that the Santa beard market is growing? Who here believes it's shrinking? Well, let's have a look. Here you can see that the market growth is, well, obviously rising, and we have a great opportunity to increase our market share. So that's all I have to say about our market conditions, so let's move on to our sales history. Again, as you can see here, this is seasonal Santas, this is market growth, it's steadily increasing, and let's have a look at how our sales measure up. You can see that the sales are remaining flat. We're not decreasing at all, but we're not keeping up with the market growth. So what can we do about it? Well, I have a proposal. How about putting our beers on the market long before the competition? Why not June? Why not July? So we can have the markets, the beers on the shelf in the market well before the competition. So that brings me to the end of my presentation. Alright, so of course that was the body. Now the 6th stage, let's have a look at that one. Here's the example. So let me summarize the main points of my presentation. First, I showed you the market growth in the Santa Beard market. Then I explained our position in the market and how we measure up. And finally, I offered a proposal on how we can better our sales in the market. That's right, that's the summary. And coming to the end, here's the example. So in conclusion, we must consider putting our products on the market long before the competition. So let's get out there and talk with our vendors to see if we can't get our beards on the shelves 6 months, 7 months before the competition, June, July, getting a head start on all our competition. So thank you very much for your attention. Of course, that's the conclusion. And finally, are there any questions? The Q&A session. So that is a basic presentation structure, 8 steps. Quick review, self-introduction, topic introduction, the overview, the message objective, the body, the summary, the conclusion, and finally the Q&A. Alright, well, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Just these tips will help, but use them with the other 9 and you will have even more dynamic and memorable presentations. Be sure to visit us again at mightyfinepresentations.com for more presentation tips. Thank you again, and have a good one. Bye-bye.